Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios in Kokolumi on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and Gold TV channel 144. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon, NPP gurus going all guns blazing against prodigal MP Adwoa Safo, said to be holding the governing party to ransom over the e-levy hold-up in Parliament.
Didn't know where she is.
On one kasana nisu. What to abamani we are uhunibium.
We are not seeing her, which of course all of us are very worried.
Well, there's more on this shortly as we speak to all those who marked her in this political stalemate. Also coming up this afternoon, some driver unions reject the 15% transport fare increment, insisting they will rather implement a 30% raise, accusing the Transport Coordinating Council of bad faith. But the Transport Coordinating Council says it will ensure that all drivers comply with the 14% increment announcement last night. Well, the coalition of aggrieved customers of Menzgold is also asking the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to provide update on how government intends to disburse some 200 million cedis locked up in the accounts of defunct gold dealership firm Menzgold. We'll speak to the group here on The Pulse. My name is Blessed Sugan. The Pulse is brought to you as always by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable, safe sanitation. Remember that we are also streaming live on all of our social media handles at JoyNews on TV. Tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Sugan. Stay for details. Well, and this afternoon, we know that the Domi Kwabena MP, Adwoa Safo, is the hottest personality as it is emerging. She's frustrating government's effort at passing the controversial electronic transactions levy. Government introduced the proposal in the 2022 budget when the finance minister presented the budget statement in November. The impression then was that it was urgent so government can deal with a shortfall in revenue and rising government expenditure. We are heading for the 4th month and this is yet to see the light of day. The issues accounting for this has mainly been the sharp division between the majority and minority sides of the House, with the NDC and MPP tied on equal numbers. An independent MP who has decided to join the NPP side should have made things easier, but that's far from the case. We understand that some NPP MPs, including his former spouse, Ken Agyapong, have publicly waged war against Adwoa Safo after refusing to turn up for Parliament. We'll hear from him and other persons close to this action shortly. First, though, our findings when we visited her constituency recently is up. Just watch all of this unfold.
The absence of the MP has raised concerns among the rank and file of the party. Poster and editor of the Daily Dispatch newspaper, Ben Efson, has called for her dismissal if it emerges she did not follow due process. Asin Central MP Kennedy Agyapong has accused her of holding the party to ransom. But in the Domi Kwabena constituency, secretary of the party, Theophilus Ansalabi, tells JoyNews her absence is indeed affecting the constituency. Here's how.
You met me in the office this morning working. That is what I'm supposed to do. So I was voted into power and she was also voted. So if you have been voted, you do what is expected of you. So if you're supposed to go to Parliament and represent your people and also visit your constituents and do what is expected of you and you don't do, definitely it will affect them. What we're saying is that we have common, even a typical one is that we have common funds for the constituency, that's the MP's common fund, that deprived people probably have the opportunity to access it. So without you, how do they access it? If it has to be with health issue, without you, how do people deal with it? Because nobody can access your common fund except you. So if you're not there, that means those who the funds are meant for cannot access it. So in effect, probably it's affecting people in the constituency, isn't it?
He adds that the issue has been tabled before the Council of Elders of the party in the constituency after several failed attempts to reach the MP.
As far as I'm concerned, it is difficult getting to her. As far as I am concerned, okay, so I'm speaking for myself, it is difficult for me to reach her as an MP.
How about the executive body? Officially?
We have had consent and we've met with the Council of Elders, Patrons and Disciplinary Committee on this same issue, and the key person we have been reaching the MP through is the constituency chairman. We have tasked him severally to get in touch of the MP and get back to us, but getting back to us, he also said he wasn't able to.
The constituents have been speaking. They are sharply divided over her absence and the calls for her dismissal.
That's a habit.
What do you make of that?
In fact, it's very, very sad. Part of Adwoa. But unfortunately, we are not seeing her, which, of course, all of us are very worried.
Well,
he cannot tell us emphatically if she should be sacked or not, but he believes that whatever action that must be taken, if indeed she's not attending Parliament deliberately, then that action must be taken. However, he as a constituent is affected by the absence of the MP because she's the one who must represent them, must table their issues before government in order to get the solution that they need, and so her absence definitely affects him. Let me speak to another driver. We are the taxi rank here at Domain. Wafa, what JoyNews is saying?
And some fantasy if you say Nipa and a bonnie. What in case this will be soon so and Pam say Nipa na. Into if you say Nipa na bonnie, into Nipa bonnie yadiche.
Okay, say raise issues because issues in the Enya Hankwan raise the whole nation. Oh. Yeah, bisa. Yeah, bisa. Young baby, nobody know where she is.
Yeah, mammy, it's no way say Bibiako Parliament say pass him maybe I won't address a for the whole. But I say, Doc and Yellow Crack. In the party, Obia could think of home. One day be a winning in the Mimi Huno, Melinacasa.
Who address up?
Last year, Mihuno, December Yamihuno, January Yamihuno. January Mihuno,
they say our waiver.
They say I met like I said the party or in Uncle Baby or Ghana. And the party, what I say, be a
Okay. Now, he believes that the absence of the Member of Parliament is very worrying, not just at the constituency level, but also at the national level. And in fact, the constituents are very much worried. He says if you just speak to a random person, they will tell you that as for the Member of Parliament, she only appears when there's an election coming up. And so they are very much worried about her absence or her absence, especially in Parliament. But he thinks otherwise. He says he's seen the Member of Parliament constantly, even this year. They've had several engagements with her, and he believes it's the internal party politics here at Domikwabina that's at play, which has given a very bad impression of the Member of Parliament. So we move to the house of the MP to find out where exactly she is. The personal assistant who met her said Adwoa Safo is out of the jurisdiction for personal reasons.
She's a third-term Member of Parliament. There hasn't been any time where she has stayed away for so long. So once this is happening, we should, try and understand that there's something very germane that is keeping her away, and not because she's intentionally doing it or because she has some scores to settle with anybody. Even in her absence, there's still work being done in the constituency. There are several developmental projects ongoing in the constituency, from roads to schools, several development going on. So I will find it very difficult if anybody says that her absence in any way is dragging or is pulling back the development that we should benefit from, in the constituency. I find that very difficult to understand.
He, however, accuses some persons within the party of capitalizing on her absence to create disaffection for her.
And also, the secretary, he's not somebody who we would expect, I personally will expect, will say something positive about the Member of Parliament because of the relationship. Yes, he's the Secretary of the Constituency and also a perpetual opponent of the Member of Parliament. So I don't expect him to say.
A perpetual opponent?
Yes, he's always been an opponent of the Member of Parliament. At no point in time has he supported the Member of Parliament, and it's been like that, and we've worked with it until now.
So when will Adwoa Safo be back in town?
Well, as far as in speaking to the e-levy, it's something that Honourable supports, and when she comes to town, she'll definitely be in Parliament to support him passing the e-levy next week. All things being equal.
Adwoa Safo will be in town.
Yeah.
And she will participate in the
surely.
votes. Ernest Menu for JoyNews.
Well, we do know that Adwoa Safo is also the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, but is currently on extended leave as she takes care of what the presidency says is a personal matter. But her absence is creating some sort of discomfort within the New Patriotic Party. Ken Agyapong has been speaking on this on SSA Radio.
And MPP people should listen carefully. Adwoa Safo, they hired a private jet to bring the woman here. And when she came, she refused to come to Parliament.
So who was in Parliament casting the vote that day?
Hold on.
Okay.
She refused to come to Parliament. Chief of Staff, after buying the ticket and flying her in, had to take a motorcade to Adwoa's house. She stood behind her gate for 30 minutes. What kind of rudeness is that? Before she opened, Chief of Staff was made to sit at her living room for 35 minutes. When she came, Babin was tired. She is sick. He's sick. He can't wait. If you can't get your numbers, so be it. And we couldn't vote. Going back, she was demanding another private jet. Excuse me. Dr. Mwakuba, I'm sorry. Please. You don't know what has transpired. Look, about 3 weeks ago, we went to Kwawu, Rock City. Rock City. They put pressure on me to call Adwoa Safo. I placed the call through my daughter 13 times. She refused to talk to me. She refused.
Well, Zanat Kennedy Agyapong, they're trying to break down the demands that the Dome Kwabenya MP has been making. We understand as well that she's been putting some fresh claims before the executive to tackle as conditions precedent before she returns actually to the country in support of the e-levy. There's a need for us to expand this conversation. Shortly, we'll be joined by Nana Obribwai, who's General Secretary for the New Patriotic Party, but Professor Mwakuba as well is joining us. He's a political scientist who has been sharing his thoughts on this matter. The secretary as well for that very constituency, Theophilus Ansah, is also on with us. He, of course, would know the very latest on that. So, Theophilus, welcome to the polls. First of all, let me find out from you. Do we know about the presence or otherwise of Sarah Adwoa Safo in this country? What's the official report you're receiving, obviously, as one of the executives in the constituency? We'll reconnect shortly to Theophilus to give us the very update, but Professor Mwakuba is here with us. So, Prof, you had Kennedy Agyapong call you out there. He says that you're not very much vexed in the matters. You don't have an understanding of what exactly is happening, and perhaps that's why you are declaring your support for Sarah Adwoa Safo. But listening to all that has transpired so far, what do you think the NPP should be doing about her case? Prof, you'd have to unmute for us so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. I'm not declaring any support for Adwoa Safo. I don't support everything that she has done. My point is this: decency must prevail at all times. Adwoa Safo became a hero during the election time. You remember when she declared that the numbers at the police station were not accurate. What was happening? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, Prof. You were making a point about giving clarity.
Okay, what was happening was that the presidential numbers were being reduced, and it was she who brought it out. She was a hero. I served with Adwoa Safo on the manifesto committee. Myself, Adwoa Safo, Atachia, Jimamenu, and 2 others. Right? I know her a little bit. I don't support everything she does. She cannot hold her own government and party to ransom. But the point is this: she was first unfairly treated, and nobody came to her defense. If she's a substantive minister and somebody under her is giving authority that seems to place her under that person, how do you expect her to operate as a minister from there?
I'm sorry, but you would have to clarify this. You would have to clarify this for us.
Who is supposed to be told what to do?
I understand that, but when you say the party has not treated Adwoa Safo fairly, in what particular terms? Because this is someone who served as deputy majority leader. She's now been given a position as Minister of State. That's also a fair position, isn't it?
Minister has fired. No, you don't do that. You call the minister, find a way, and let her do it. Right? Talk it over. Even the president himself can mediate between the two. That didn't happen. So what is she doing now? Is she a minister now or just a messenger in the ministry? That is the problem. So we don't really have credibility to behave as if we treated her well. That is part of the problem. Having said that, please, I know I wouldn't have all the information about what is being going on behind the scenes. By listening to Kennedy Agyapong, I know he's tried very hard to get Adwoa Safo to come back, and it has not worked. So I know, but some of the things he's saying, these are personal issues that should not be brought into the public domain. Are you calling her a failure in life? Her father doesn't own the parliament. That is not appropriate. This is also a woman who has 2 children with you. And if anybody is going to be charged to remove her, it shouldn't be you. The best you can do is to be quiet. Let somebody else do it. That is what decency is. And so now, what are we going to do? Some are saying, let's trigger the process of removing her. Okay, go ahead. This is what we do all the time. Instead of, please, treat the person properly, and when the time comes, you use that as a chip. You go and trigger this. What is the guarantee that MPP will win that seat? What is the guarantee? If they don't know, I'm telling them now. MPP is not as popular as before. Even 1 year ago, we are not as popular as 1 year ago. Come to Kumasi and see. Go on to look at the party offices. They are throwing furniture out. People are very upset. Someone declared that they will fight with flesh and blood. You hear that? They will fight with their blood. This has happened before. 4 years ago, they've seen it. A year ago, they've seen it. So now, they are not going to sit idly by and be taken advantage of again.
But, Prof, it appears that you're simplifying matters. From the accounts that Kennedy Agyapong is giving us this afternoon, we understand that an olive branch was extended to the said MP. She's making demands now, including her demands to become deputy majority leader. That's quite unfair at such a critical time when government needs that single vote from Sarah Adwoa Safo in passing the e-levy.
I agree. But if we have diplomats in our ranks, if we have mediators in our rank, that is her demand. Doesn't mean she gets it. But bring her down. Find a way, okay, Adwoa, come, let's talk about it. Then she may not get that one, but may accept something else. That is how you proceed. Now you dug a trench for yourself, you are not moving, and then you say, let's remove him. Okay, I say, well, warning, go ahead and see what happens. If NDC wins, what are you going to do now? And that is a very big possibility. We don't look far, you see. Right. When we are in opposition, we are very different. Since we won, it's almost as if it's not this party that are in. They don't listen to anyone. Some people do what they want, as if their party belongs to them. The officials don't listen to anyone. They are not proactive. They wait until things have taken them by surprise. All of it. It's not a good situation at all.
But Prof, fortunately, you're a political scientist as well, so you understand the dynamics of this. What should be the best strategy for the governing New Patriotic Party to adopt now, particularly when we know we have a hung parliament? The numbers are critical at this point. Do we declare the seat of the MP vacant, or what exactly will be that best strategy going into this deadlock?
I think it's too soon to do that. They should come again. Try one more time. Find someone to talk to her. I'm sure she will listen to someone if you go to the right channels. Look, if I was treated unfairly, nobody defended me. Now I'm making demand. You say what? You got your Kennedy Agyapong, he got his contracts, fine. All of us, if people got contracts like that, they will be very patriotic. And so please, we should look at these things. He is not the only one who's worked hard for the party. We all did. But what I'm saying is decency must prevail at all times. You can't treat a substantive minister that way and expect her to be an effective minister. What is she going to do now? It is not good. That is a gross mistreatment. And that is the issue. So now, find someone, appeal to people outside the mainframe, and get someone to talk to her and see what happens. Now, if you can't give up this time. You can't give up at this time.
The perception out there is that the perception out there is that the MP, the perception out there is that the MP is being urged onto impunity, if we could call it that way. The concern is that there are so many other MPs out there who do not even have executive appointments from the president, and yet they've been very much devoted, very much committed to the process of ensuring that critical government bills and proposals are adopted in Parliament. How about someone who has a position, who has vacated her position for for close to a year, and yet there's been a caretaker minister working in her stead? Is that good? I mean, painting a good picture about issues of governance and the NPP.
Well, I agree with that, no doubt at all. She hasn't done right. But the point is, we need her. We need her. You see, so if you need someone, you don't start with throwing punches. Some things we should say in back rooms. In private, we are saying in public. It's not good. How can you convince someone to do something when you start insulting her already? How can you do that? Even Adwoa Safo is a failure in life. Who in Ghana is a success?
But Prof, I'm sorry for cutting him. I'm sorry for cutting him. But after all, what's the fear anyway for the New Patriotic Party? The concern is that, and we've heard that from Kennedy Agyapong. He says that after all, if you lose the elections, it's not a new deal because you've already lost the e-levy debate in Parliament. So declare the seats vacant, and that's the end of it. How about that?
How are they going to vote? Is it going to be 137 to 137 purely now? How is it going to work? It's 138 to 137 now. It's still not working. Now, if you come down from 138 to 137, how is that helping you? That's the problem. We are looking at numbers, purely numbers. How is -1 helping MPP? How? So try one more time. Find another means. Get people to talk to her. If you do all of that, okay, I'm sure they've done some of that. Kennedy Agyapong has done some of that, and I assume that is why she's very upset, right? Because it was a former husband, and she did not agree. Okay. Maybe they even had not exchange of words. Right. But be that it may, you have to continue. And
Prof, this conversation will go on for a while. Just hold the lines for us briefly. Obviously, there are so many concerns greeting this. The General Secretary of the party, Theophilus Ansah, is also on with us. He may actually have some updates on what's happening within the constituency itself. There's a group also calling itself the Alliance for Foot Soldiers Advocacy. They are a pro-party group asking that immediate measures be taken to address the situation. Opeimu Woyome speaks for the group. He's also joining us via Zoom right now. Thank you, sir, for joining us. What's the demand really of the Alliance for Foot Soldiers Advocacy? What's your demand really? You would have to unmute for us because we're having challenges hearing you.
Hello, can you please hear me?
Yes, so that's better now.
All right, thank you. So what we are saying, our point basically is that government business must go on regardless of the issues being raised by the Member of Parliament for Dr. Fabenya, regardless of concerns being raised by Kennedy Agyapong, by leadership of Parliament, or by any group whatsoever. What we are saying is that government business must still go on. You see, Ghana's economy, my brother, has suffered a great setback due to the COVID-19 and its associated negative impact on our socioeconomic life as a people, okay, globally. And there's a time that government, the federal government, has thought it wise to implement a homegrown policy this time around as an alternative to going for loans or bailouts, which is usually characterized by a lot of draconian conditions.
Would have to get back to Opemu William. Certainly, he has some more concerns to unveil for us.
That a member of parliament.
Right. But
Hello,
yes, we're having a challenge there. But so your demand is that she needs to go. But Professor Amwakuban is indicating that clearly it appears that you're not treating the lady fairly. This is a member of parliament, also a minister of state. Why not be patient as a political party?
No, I wouldn't agree with what Dr. Amwakuban is saying. I think both parties, there should be room for dialogue. I think dialogue is the only way. Whatever she is looking for, whatever the party or government is looking for, I think our stand is that government business must still go on regardless of whatever her demands or any party's interest is.
Are you then calling? Are you then, for instance, calling for a fresh elections for her seat to be declared vacant, and then we have a fresh elections? Is that what you're demanding?
We wouldn't readily call for that unless the dialogue fails. Unless the dialogue fails, and it wouldn't be in our place to call for that. It would depend on the party's national party and the leadership of parliament to determine that. But our interest is, as we keep saying, is that whatever stance they take, all parties must know that government business must still go on.
I get the point there.
The nature of the 8th parliament, okay? Because of the 137, we need every single member on board.
And that's a very crucial point you're raising there. Fortunately, the Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party himself, Nana Buahi, is joining us now to provide us with some context on this matter. In fact, this matter is also unfolding in Parliament because we know that she's lost that opportunity of meeting the deadline of 15 days, 15 official working days, which is missed without official permission in Parliament. We'll check out all of those details for you, but Nana Buahi is also a leading member of the NPP. Perhaps he has some more insights into this. Nana, welcome to the program. First of all, how is it that the whole governing political party, the NPP, is unable to call one of its members of parliament to order? The concern down there, and we've heard from the Alliance for Foot Soldiers, they are asking you to ensure that governance goes on. What's the sense really of the
Alliance
NPP
of Foot Soldiers?
Precisely. That's a concern group.
They are saying that the leadership of the party should do what?
Ensure that government business goes on. That's the concern from the grassroots of your party. How are you dealing with that, really?
No, but how can the party ensure that the NPP's government goes on with their activities? Is it the political party? You have members of parliament who are in that august body and supposed to help assist the executive and the judiciary. Then you have the party structure. So if for one reason or the other, a parliamentarian is absent, it doesn't lie in the mouth of the party leadership, maybe to bring that fellow to book. The proper thing to do.
And I'm sorry, Nana, I would have to catch you at this point. How, cogent is that justification you're giving us now? This is the governing party. You have promised to deliver a set of goals and promises to the people of Ghana. Indeed, one of your own appointees of state who's not been to her office for quite some time now is still not returning to the country, and yet you are not concerned about this as the New Patriotic Party. What's your stance on this as a political party?
With due respect, with all humility, we are not in a jungle. We are Democrats. You have the three organs of government: the lawmaking, the law implementation, the law adjudication. You look at the Supreme Court decision in Judgment versus the Attorney General 1997-98. When members of parliament are in that August House conducting the activities as members of parliament, neither the executive nor the judiciary can crack the ship. So if, for instance, a member of parliament is absent for 20, 30 days, it is the speaker who declare that position as vacant. Anything short of that, those of us who are not within that August House, we can be running commentary left, right, and center. But legally, that should not be the position.
Nana, let's face the facts. This is a member of your party.
Hold on.
This is a member of your political party. You exercise some level of control over her. She belongs to the MP's caucus in Parliament as well, and then also a member of the NPP. Why are you not taking actions as a political party? You could suspend her, for instance, as a member of the NPP.
With due respect, we are mature adults. To all intents and purposes, the party leadership can exercise control, guide the ship. When members of the party in Parliament, the majority leader, deputy majority leader, majority chiefship, they have officially reduced it into writing and then send it to the leadership of the party. That is how things are done.
Nana, I'm sorry, I'd have to bring back some issues that happened in the past. For instance, when some MPs decided in the run-up to the 2020 elections that they were going to go independent, you suspended them from the party. Here's someone who's not adhering to the rules. The concern from within the party and a general consensus is that her conduct is affecting the governance process. Why are you not taking an action against that?
We don't, in any democratic society, we don't behave like that. If you think that somebody has erred and that person must be brought to book, you have the disciplinary committee of the party. Political parties don't behave you don't thrive in a vacuum. You have a disciplinary committee of the party, National Disciplinary Committee. That individual will lodge a complaint talking about expulsion. It is captured in the MPP Constitution that if you decide to go as an independent candidate, automatically you are expelled. I don't know. I'm surprised. So if for one reason or the other, Mr. A or Mrs. B has not been going to Parliament for some time now, those of us who are members of the NEC or the National Council cannot, on our own volition, say that, we have expelled you from the party.
Nana Obribwang, your presidential candidate who's president now, the president Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is obviously concerned about this. We are learning today that, for instance, through Kennedy Agyapong, they've made several attempts to get to the said MP. These are critical concerns from the executive. The executive.
We are all worried. We are all worried.
So why are you not cracking the whip? Are you scared of Sarah Adwoa Safo?
No. I am a lawyer by profession. We are all worried. But what do? You have to adopt the proper channel. You have to go by the rules of the game. There's no law in Ghana which says that the president can maybe out of his own volition one morning say that Mr. A or B or C or D don't go to Parliament again. That may be wrong. The Speaker of Parliament cannot on his own declare that A or B or C, you don't have to come to Parliament. That may be wrong. The Chief Justice cannot just wake up to say that A or B or C or D don't go to Parliament. That is wrong. The rules are there. Much as we are all worried about it, we should apply the rules rigorously.
All right,
so it is not a question of somebody's scared. We are all worried. And the rules must be applied. The foot soldiers you are talking about. I think that the proper thing to do is to file a complaint before the National Disciplinary Committee. Then the National Disciplinary Committee will sit on the matter.
Okay.
All of us are worried, but we should do the proper thing within the context that we find ourselves.
Are you not worried that the popularity of the NPP will be affected going into the next elections?
Look, let's be very honest and sincere. I am worried. That doesn't mean that we should throw the rules of the game away and then embark on a voyage of discovery. Is that what you are suggesting, my brother?
Well,
is that what you are suggesting?
You are a member of the NPP. In fact, you are in leadership.
That is why I'm saying that. Apart from being a member of the NPP, I'm a lawyer by profession. So we should apply the rules very well. You don't need to discriminate.
All right. Nana Obribwang is Deputy General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. In fact, let's find out what's happening in the constituency itself. Professor Mwakuba is also on with us, but Theophilus Ansah is joining us via Zoom as well. He's the Constituency Secretary, so perhaps he may have some information on the whereabouts of the MP. Theophilus, what more can you tell us about the absence or otherwise of Sarah Adwoa Safo? Do we know her whereabouts? Well, we seem to have lost Theophilus there. But Professor Mwakuba, I'm sure that you've been listening to all of this. What's your reaction as we conclude on this situation?
To be honest, I'm disappointed because party administration is not purely based on rules or policies, constitution. Sometimes backdoor channels work better. The result is what we are looking at, not the processes. What is wrong with calling someone your colleague and talking to her? What is wrong with that? Call the band and talk to her. Kennedy tried himself, I'm sure. And this is why he's very upset. It didn't work. Doesn't mean that's the end of it. You understand? But we are not trying hard enough. You can't give up on this. So what the Deputy General Secretary is saying, I don't think it's appropriate. It is not only rules that you use to run a party. As a matter of fact, if you do too much of that, the party will be ruined. We become mechanical. Sometimes all the person needs are kind words. When she was mistreated, nobody supported her. Nobody defended her. That's the issue. I suspect that is very, very, very much in her heart.
Right, and Prof, I'm just being curious at this point. You've indicated that, for instance, you've engaged Sarah Adwoa Safo at the time you were drafting the manifesto for the NPP. So you seem to have some close relations, if I could say. Have you tried reaching out to her, perhaps out of concern, to find out where she is and why she's not returning?
No, I haven't, because I don't even know her number, and nobody has talked to me about anything. That is the problem. Things happen, and those in official position behave as if they only can do something. Sometimes you need people from outside. You see, they behave as if they know everything. They don't contact anyone. They do whatever. Now they want to put a bump in the whole thing. Okay, I say go ahead, but don't forget, the way the walls will fall on you. So I don't think that's the right alternative to consider now. Look, the speaker, I'm sure, Adwoa Safo went for a childbirth. It's not out a reasonable issue to be away from Parliament. I don't know if you thought the speaker. It's possible that through informal channels, is mentioning it to the speaker. So what are you going to do now? Is she the first person who's been upset this long? No. But she have a legitimate reason to be away. What I don't like is this. This is a serious issue. It's about the country, about your own country and your party. You shouldn't send videos to people dancing. That's all. That I would say. It is not. It appears as if you are not serious. You don't care what is happening. But we have to still try harder to reach her, let her come. I have no doubt. So go to the right channel, she will come. She's come before, right? And so some of these demands I've heard her making are not reasonable. But if she makes it, man, let her come. Okay, we have to talk it over. She doesn't accept this. She may accept something else. How do we know? This is how mediation works.
And Prof, what's interesting is that you are a very committed member of the NPP. You're committed to the ideals of the party, and yet you are alarmed that the popularity of the NPP is waning. Looking into that magic ball, what are you predicting for the party? Because this is happening at a time you're embarking on a reorganization process as the New Patriotic Party. The ward election, the branch election has started. What do you predict as the future of the NPP?
Well, the picture doesn't look, I can tell you that straight away. It doesn't look good. Look, today, I've got 2 videos, people throwing furniture out of party office because the people are upset. They can't get the form. Now they say the form is free because somebody has paid for it, yet the chairman is not there. In one instance, they said they went and arrested constituency chairman, put him in the police station, whatever. It's not good. Just started, and this is what we're seeing. What's going to happen when it comes to regionals and national? So it's not good. Part of the problem is that I had an Obribwang. I respect him a lot. But I have to tell him, you don't run an organization like a political party strictly with rules. You can't do that. Many of the people don't even understand the rules. They don't know the rules. So how are you going to use that? Talk to them. Can't we talk? Find the right people, talk to them. You can't do that. That is the problem. If you sit there and use just rules, this is what happens. They'll be fighting left and right. Sometimes all they need is kind words. That's all. That you listen to them, that you understand their concerns. That's it. And bring peace. But now, from what we saw last time when the Siama went independent, didn't the party talk to a Siama before he agreed to join?
Right. And Prof, we're very much grateful that you've been able to spend some time with us here on the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. Thanks for staying with us. When we return, we'll talk about Menzgold customers. They are back in the news. We'll tell you more about that shortly. And you're welcome back to the Pulse. The coalition of aggrieved customers of Menzgold is asking the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to provide updates on how government intends to disburse some 200 million cedis locked up in the accounts of defunct gold dealership firm Menzgold. The group argues many of its members continue to die as a result of the trauma suffered due to the significant losses made and the inability of government to bring closure to the case. The group is also asking and reminding the Finance Minister to stay true to his promises of liquidating the assets of the firm to defray the cost. Fortunately, Fred Fawcett, who is the president of the Coalition of Aggrieved Customers of Menzgold, is joining us in studio for us to have a conversation. Good afternoon to you, sir. Welcome to the Pulse. I have to say Happy New Year. It's the first time seeing you this year, but it's obviously not a good time, I believe, for customers of Menzgold. Why are you reminding the Finance Minister of his promise to you?
Thank you very much. Blessed, today is exactly 3 years that the Finance Minister, in the company of the President, they went to Burma camp in a meeting with the men in uniform, the military. And he promised them that they were there are some over 200 million Ghana cedis locked up in Menzgold. And so a committee will be set up. And he promised, he made a categorical promise that they were going to use the proceeds of the assets of Menzgold to pay off the customers, the affected customers. And 3 years is today. We haven't heard anything from the Finance Minister. And we believe that he's the right person because he's in charge of the finances of the country. And the activities of Security and Exchange Commission fall directly under the supervision of the Finance Minister. So today we sent a formal letter to remind him of that promise that he made. And I can tell you that on that very day, that is the 22nd of February, as we speak, from that time to today, 175 customers have died. And we believe that if he had kept his word, if he had gone ahead to do what he promised, we believe that we would have saved these lives. Mind you, just about 3 weeks ago, Iyoko went to court for an order, asking the court to give them the permission to go and sell off some of the assets of Menzgold. And you know the reason? They said that the items are getting rotten. So that's where your concern is. We believe that if the Finance Minister had kept his word 3 years ago, what they are seeking to do today would have been done long ago, would have saved lives, and by now customers would have been paid.
So your fear is that even the motive for which we are seeing Menzgold, the Yoko go to court, it's not even to liquidate the company and give the funds back to you, but they are concerned about the fact that all of these things are rotting away. Is that your fear? Is it the fear that the amount that you're targeting, 200 million cedis, we may not eventually raise that amount?
We are not actually targeting 200 million. In fact, these are direct quotes. These are the words that he said. In fact, it's on Class FM Online, February 2019. When you Google, you go there, is there. That is what he told the military. In fact, if you look at the letter carefully, we copied the military because these statements were made in the presence of the military. So we have copied them that this is what the finance minister said. As customers, we want to know what is the state of that promise. But he used the word 200 million Ghana cedis, which is locked up.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So 3 years down the lane, what is happening?
In fact, the expectation, and I must be frank with you on this, the expectation is that, well, 3 years down the line, many of you would have forgotten by now, depending on the kind of investment you've made, forgotten about the locked up investments and life must move on. But it's staggering that you're telling us that 175 people have died. Is it as a result of the locked up investments? How do you know that really?
They are customers. But just last week, one of our leaders in Takwa was at the point of death. Around 8 p.m. in the night, 8 to 9 p.m., we had to quickly organize and go and see to his situation. He was at the point of death. In fact, if you like, I can forward to you his picture, his correct picture, and the current state that he's in. He's bedridden now on the hospital bed. And it's very, very sad. And blessed. You see, let us stop this pretentious criminal prosecution. Just yesterday, you can check online, when they went to court with the number 1 case, the lawyer for number 1 is saying that just let us go because you are not ready to prosecute this gentleman. The lawyer for number 1. And that's what we have been calling for. On the 17th of August 2019, we wrote a petition to the Attorney General of the Republic of Ghana. And we saw through the crystal ball that this criminal prosecution isn't going to be in our interest. So suspend it. Suspend the criminal prosecution. Let's look for civil remedies to ensure that we get our monies first. And at the end of the day, you see, let me say something. Right. We are the elected. We are the electorate, right? We sent the Attorney General to go to court. Is that not the point? Right. Is that not what the democracy is about? So what you are doing is not in our interest.
Fred, I understand.
I'm not talking about politics.
We'll get into the concern about governance and the demands of the people, but let's stick with what's on your statement. For instance, and I'm glad that you're talking about the embattled firm Menzgold itself. Yes. They pointed out in late 2021 that they were putting out a certain list of claimants, right? You've seen that list names as well. What's happened to that process? Because you were in touch with Menzgold when that process.
Only 2 people were paid.
Process started.
Only 2 people were paid. Even those people were paid 4,000 Ghana cedis each. The rest of them, nothing happened. Like we said, it's another sham. So you can't, as a state, we cannot be sitting down watching people dying, and like a sovereign state like Ghana, this Menzgold issue, we cannot resolve it. We believe that we have the ability, we have the capacity to resolve the Menzgold issue. That is why we are human beings. That's why we are saying that let's sit around the table. For all you know, we have the keys to unlocking our money. That is why government, we are knocking at your door. Mr. Finance Minister, we are knocking at your door. Mr. Attorney General, stop the criminal prosecution. Come back home. Let's sit down and resolve the issue. It's possible that we can find answers to the monies that are locked up so that we'll be paid to save people from dying. Because in your own promise to the military, you said that government was in the process of setting up a committee. 3 years now, what is happening to that committee? 3 years now, what is happening to the assets of the company? Government froze this asset for the past 3 years. And now Yoko is saying that even some of them were getting royalties, so they've gone to court. Why don't we sit down and resolve this issue? Because the criminal prosecution is not yielding any...
And Fred, this has been the concern, the fact that ever since the start of this saga, you've been declaring sort of your unflinching support for Menzgold. It's as though you still don't believe that this was a Ponzi scheme. Is that the case?
I don't want us to go back. We are in 2020.
Because obviously you are calling on the Attorney General, and that's contained in your statement here, to suspend the criminal prosecution. So it's as though you still have some belief in the
That's why I'm making the point. Because for 3 years, and what happened yesterday at court, the lawyer for Menzgold is calling on the state, the court, to discharge the client because he can see that government is not ready to prosecute him. In fact, could you believe that the case has not even started proper? Even the charges The charges, the 61 charges that they put on him, it has not been crystallized. As we speak, anytime that the prosecution asks for adjournment, and you see, if we are not dealing with human lives, we would have allowed it to go. You understand? But here you are dealing with human lives. And I can tell you, blessed, 175 people who have died, they can work to retrieve these millions of monies which are locked up in Menzgold. Do you know that? Because we are dealing with human resource here. 175 people, as compared to the amount locked up in Menzgold, if these people were to be alive, they can work to bring back this money to the state. So we have life here and we have money here. What should you do? Should we allow the Attorney General to go dancing in court? Dancing palogo in court for the past 3 years? No.
Well,
this is
the
Ghana.
Attorney General hasn't said it's not interested in.
That is the perception. That is the perception.
So that's your suspicion. You don't have
it's
facts
not
to back.
I'm saying that is the perception.
That because
and even
the case is in court.
Yesterday, what happened in court? The lawyer is saying that, Karachi, you are not ready to prosecute my client, so set my client free, because we cannot be coming to court for 3 good years, whilst human lives are being lost. So it's up to us to decide. We are Ghana. It's up to us to decide that we will allow human lives to weary away whilst we keep on pretending as if we are prosecuting Namwan. That is a choice that as a nation we must make.
Right, Fred.
That is why we are calling the finance minister for an urgent meeting.
Right. It appears it's not the finance minister alone that you're concerned about. In light of this, you're also moving to Parliament, because that's contained in your statement as well.
Yes.
What are you seeking from Parliament this time around? Because you've been there on a number of occasions. What's the fresh demand?
We have petitioned Parliament and asked them that they should go into the administrative closure of Menzgold, because we believe that looking at the law and the arrangements that were supposed to have been applied in the closure of Menzgold, we believe that something went amiss. So we have asked Parliament, we have requested Parliament to look into it. That is why even this one, we gave a reminder to Parliament that we have, because already it's like you have sent your issue to an authority, and that authority is looking into the issue. And so since this thing came out, we thought it wise that let's inform Parliament that we have also taking this move, so that they will be in the known. And like we said, we have been very consistent with it. Let's use civil remedy. In fact, the solution does not lie in criminal prosecution. The solution for unlocking our funds lies in a civil remedy. And not
Have you made attempts to reach out to the finance ministry itself to find out what's the arrangement, either in terms of making some funds available for you while government goes after the locked up investments?
Yes, that is this letter. That's this. We were there to submit the letter to the finance minister, and we are hopeful that, I mean, there's a saying that everybody is confident in his own words. So we've given the finance minister, Mr. Kenoforate's words back to him. And we believe that he trusts in his own words. This is what he said 3 years ago to the soldiers at Burma camp. So we are just reminding him of his word, of his commitment. And we believe that his words are his commitment. And so his word is him. So we are just reminding him of his word.
And Fred, there are questions about the timing of your demands. You're making the demand at a time when the finance minister just revealed to us yesterday that there's no public funds available. There's no fiscal space for government. Even we're not able to find money to pay the striking university teachers, for instance. So it tells you, it paints a picture to you about the status of the economy, and yet you are adding your fresh demands to this, reigniting the fire for government to at least make some funds available to your members. Do you have that hope or that sense that indeed government will heed your calls?
There's a mystery about human resource. He's the finance minister. We've known him for the past 5 years. There's some fresh idea somewhere that he might not have even had idea about it. Let's sit around the table. Perhaps we know that there's a pot of gold somewhere that he has not seen. Sit us around the table. We'll show you where the gold is. We'll show you where you can get money to pay us.
Oh, you'll be able to tell?
Yes, yes.
You still believe Menzgold
you mark today. We are promising you. Let him come and sit down with us. We'll show him that there is this gold behind you. You are not aware that there's this resource here. We'll show him.
Finally, Fred, what's happening beyond these demands you're making?
Come again.
What will happen afterwards? I mean, if government doesn't have that meeting that you're expecting, what will be the next line of action?
We believe that government is for the people and by the people. And so if they are there because of us, I don't think they have any option than listening to us. Yes, and so, I mean, if we would stop, like your preamble, your introduction said, this thing is not going to die until we get our money. So what is beyond this request is to see to it that we are paid. That's why we are here.
Well, Fred Forson is the president of the coalition of aggrieved customers of Menzgold, sharing their concerns there with us. But what we know now is that the dollar is now 7 cedis, and this will be good news for people who are paid salaries in dollars. But for those who need to convert cedis into dollars to import goods, it is certainly a real pain. Now, the Municipal Chief Executive for Agyapong, Patrick Kumar, has been summoned by the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources over his alleged involvement in illegal mining of sand around the Wager water treatment plant. A visit by a joint task force led by Madam Cecilia Abinadapa to the heavily guarded buffer zone Monday revealed how some persons bypassed the military post to cut away several tracts of sand and stones.
So this one, are they going to throw it away or going to use it?
I don't even know where it's going to. They are selling.
But you are confused. Either you are confused or you are lying.
No.
Or you are irresponsible.
I have the legacy.
How can you do this?
I have the legacy.
You are saying you don't know whether they are selling or not. But you know they are going to sell.
I know.
How can they do sand winning and deplete the whole buffer that we've put here to protect the lake?
Yes.
That gives about 1.5 million people in Accra water. You know what you are doing.
Honorable Minister,
let
me come in.
Please, this thing, we must investigate it. Okay. So the driver, please, arrange to dislodge. We will not allow you to take this away.
Honorable, is this just coming to your notice as we just arrived here?
We've been monitoring for some time now. That's why we wanted to come and see it, feel it for ourselves, and stop it. Because we can't continue. We are going to institute investigations into all this to make sure the figures they are giving us is correct. Okay. And by extrapolation, then we know that they are depleting. You see, that's another vehicle.
But Honorable, what does this say? Because, I mean, you cannot be here every day to monitor yourself. There are officers here.
You've seen there are officers there. We are supposed to have people here who are protecting the landscape to make sure we protect the lake. But very disappointing results. The guy must stop. He should stop.
Honorable, clear dereliction of duty, at least on the surface. That's what we've seen in the past couple of minutes.
This a couple of minutes. We are going to investigate. We should get to the bottom of this. People are at the gates. How did these trucks come in? We should know. Driver, Sifombra, Obi Oho Utu, no more to a sign 180 Ghana. Unim say wrong so bebaha, a higher security zone. Unim sa, and I may catch her until the Oku to no best and their Koguho. Says here. We'll wash back into the lake.
Our understanding is that this washes right into the lake, making it even more difficult to treat. I'm correct?
It's true.
Increases the turbidity.
Yes. It adds up to the turbidity. Okay. That we don't want to be high. And this is illegal mining of what? Sand and stones. That's what they are doing here.
Well, the miners claim to have the permission of the assembly. Here's one of them who identified himself as Akins.
Yes,
Yes, assembly now me call you know. Any permission passage, but on no mammy letter. And notice me, and notice what I was because on the event.
Let and then no.
Chirasa ye can't free link it to Agape down. Assembly movie. Yeah, assembly movie. Assemblyman, assembly member. Away.
Like when I sign letter, no.
Signature no. Assemblyman
I went to the assembly and the assemblyman gave me a letter noticing the waterworks. The signature was quoted through the assembly. Even though it isn't the MC's signature, he was in the know. That is why he authorized the assemblyman to write the letter. I have the backing of the chiefs, and so it is only reasonable that I construct the road. I sell a trip for 180 Ghana cedis and share the proceeds with the chiefs.
Oh, and the man can't try and boy because and I'm just say I him for mammy hokwan. Sir, I him for no dear. Land fee no convenient, and I come to diesel and I'm the power machine. Okay, until 180 now they're saying I him for they're saying. And Ukraine, sir, 180 no send me kakretisika me wo cry 20 Ghana. I'm telling you.
Well, these claims by Akins was strongly resisted by officials of the Ghana Water Company Limited. Here's the managing director of the company, Dr. Clifford Brimer.
Without sending it to me, and you said I've received it, go and bring a copy that my office has stamped. Stop it. Chiefs don't do road. I said chiefs don't do road. Assemblies don't do road. They should go and tell highways and ministries, approach it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not just targeting the... I brought the minister here because it's gone past us. And so the minister should take it up. It becomes a cabinet decision. I don't sit in cabinet. And so there are certain decisions that I'm limited. All I can do is to forward it to the ministry. And the minister has come. Now he has sent it. He's taking a cabinet posture. Government paid compensation for this land. If the compensation is not adequate, it's not road they come to do. They come and ask for a review. That's all.
But have you been aware of the district's workings with the people here?
No, we're not aware. That's what I'm telling my people. They shouldn't limit them because they do not speak for Ghana Water Company. I speak for Ghana Water Company. So if they come to them, they should better direct them to me. And if they say they've written a letter to me and I have received it, they should collect the letter and see whether my stamp is on it.
So you are more culpable than even him because your men are on ground every day and they allow them to do it.
We are going to the military camp, so you can ask them why there is a military post and people can pass through. What will I be able to do?
Why not ask you? Your people are here, you supervise them.
Said because I cannot do it alone, that's why I went to National Security and they deployed military people here. And there's a military post. So let's go to them.
That deployment has been useless, obviously.
So, am I the commander? No. So let's go.
Well, the Sector Minister, Cecilia Benadapa, says a full-blown investigation is being instituted into the matter, a reason the MCE has been summoned.
To explain things to us. One of you asked whether with the police we couldn't arrest them. And I said, not today. We are going to institute full investigations into this. We don't want to shield anybody. We don't want people who have had this thing of the dereliction of duty to go scot-free, etc., etc. So all these things will be tackled. I'm summoning the MC to my office. I mean, who would have imagined in his or her wildest dreams that people will be just going up there to win, stone, and stand? It's to protect the plants. It's a security asset. Yes.
These are huge trucks that cannot be hidden. When they climb the mountain...
I think your premise is well taken, but we don't have to do a banter on that. They are not allowed from today. I don't know what instructions they had been given by Ghana Water, but I have come to see things for myself.
Well, thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Now, due to the lack of access to potable drinking water at Wedana in the Pusiga district of the Upper East region, residents are often forced to travel far distances in search of water or pay more for clean water. This also makes the supply of water with donkey carts and motor tricycles a booming business for those who provided that service. To alleviate the suffering of the people, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited, Abdul Wahab Hanan, has handed over 2 hand pumps and boreholes to the Widana community. 14 other areas received 2 boreholes each to help improve their access to good drinking water in the area. Correspondent Albert Sorry has more.
Abubakar Issa and Salifu Mensura are in the business of carting water and supplying it to interested residents here at Widana for money. It is very difficult to get water in this area, so I cart water between long distances and supply it to my clients. It is my way of helping them get water for their homes, so I can also earn something. Water has been scarce in this area for years, and people like Abubakar and Salifu have cashed in on the demand. The cost of a drum of water ranged between 4, 6, and 10 Ghana cedis, depending on the source of the water and the distance to the client's home. Water from streams and dugouts cost less than water from boreholes. There is a dam not too far from here, so I always go there and get the water and then supply it to people. I used to charge 2 cedis per drum, but now I charge 4 cedis. The alternative was that the residents of Widana had to travel the long distances by themselves to get the water. Fortunately, the CEO of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, Alhaji Hanan Abdul Wahab Aludiba, who is also a native of Widana, has drilled and handed over 2 hand pump boreholes to help lessen the plight of the people of Widana. He has also extended the gesture to 14 other electoral areas within the Pusiga constituency, handing over 2 boreholes to each area to help improve their access to drinking water.
A request was made to my non-governmental organization to support the community with water. There are several of those concerns in the constituency. So in total, we have drilled 30 boreholes. So I am very happy. I know water is life. And our mothers would have to travel far away in search of water to cook and do some other chores in the house. So I'm so happy that I'm witnessing the commission of the borehole.
For the people who will be drinking from these boreholes, the gesture could not have come at a better time. It was not easy to get water, but that will now change. This borehole will help everyone in this community, especially women. Water has always been a cause of worry to us in this area. In everything we did, we had to factor in the time we spent looking for water. So this new borehole will bring us a lot of relief. Reporting for JoyNews, Albert Sorry, Widana, Pusiga District.
Well, the University Teachers Association of Ghana says government has up to 14 days to improve their working conditions and or they will actually resume their strike. UTAG announced a suspension of its strike that lasted more than 40 days after a High Court ordered them to return to work. Speaking at a news conference this morning, National President of UTAG, Professor Solomon Nunu, warned that members of UTAG are unhappy and will go all extent to ensure an improvement of its conditions of service.
The NEC of UTAG held an emergency meeting on Monday, 21st February 2022 at the University for Professional Studies, Accra, to deliberate on the way forward regarding the withdrawal of teaching and related services on the various campuses of the public universities. Following this, members evaluated the entire strike action with the aim of reaping the full benefit of improving the conditions of service of its members. The NEC of UTAG also considered the impact of our industrial action on our students and appeals that came from student groups like NUX, UTAG, GRASAG, and also the general public, especially parents and respected eminent leaders, including former President J. Kufuor, Chancellor of University of Mines and Technology, Takwa, Sir Sam Jonah, Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, and the National Security Minister who came in on behalf of the President, and also the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the meeting, the NEC of UTAG resolved to heed the pleas of the eminent leaders, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, and other stakeholders to temporarily suspend the strike action up to 4th March 2022 to engage with the employer. For this, we call on the government to take advantage of this window to help improve the salary and general working conditions of the university teacher. We also call on the government to see to the implementation of the several agreements that have been signed in recent times. We call on all members of UTAG also to rally behind leadership and remain calm and resolute at this important phase of our history. In many forums, the employer has agreed with stakeholders that there is the need to improve the conditions of service of the university teachers. Thus, we are cautiously optimistic that the government will do the needful to improve the working conditions of the university teacher. We know that the government has not fulfilled its part of the bargain in many signed agreements in the recent past. However, the involvement of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education and other eminent persons, we expect the government to carry through its promises this time round. We will, however, not hesitate to resume the suspended strike action should government renege on its commitments at the end of the stipulated period of negotiation.
Well, Professor Solomon Nunu explained that their decision to call off the strike is also partly due to the calls of well-meaning Ghanaians, including former President Kufuor and Sir Sam Jonah. They want their members to nationwide to heed the call and rally behind the national leadership of UTAG.
You may recall that UTAG members in its 15 branches withdrew teaching and related services indefinitely on Monday, 10 January 2022. This strike action hinged on the poor conditions of service of university teachers, negotiations of which commenced in 2018. Although some progress have been made in some aspects, the key areas which go to the core of the conditions of service have seen little or no progress, and it appears there is no end in sight anytime soon, whilst our members continue to wallow in worsening economic conditions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, you may recall that the entry market premium, which was instituted following the implementation of the single spine pay policy, got frozen per government white paper in 2013 for the purpose of conducting of a labor market survey to determine a market premium payable to workers deserving of it. However, this determination has not been made, which has resulted in the erosion of the university teacher's salary. There was the hope that by completing and implementing the 2019 labor market survey report, a review of the entry market premium would have put the university teacher on a relatively good salary stead. Regrettably, the recommendations of the 2019 report, without any accompanying technical report on the implementable market premium, is meaningless to UTAG as it does not address the pertinent issues of improved conditions of service. UTAG therefore embarked on the strike action to press home the demand for the restoration of the interim market premium allowance of university teachers to the 2013 levels of 114% of their basic salary. During this strike action, UTAG held several meetings with the employer and other stakeholders in tertiary education in Ghana. These meetings include University Students Association of Ghana, Vice Chancellors Ghana, Ministry of Education, GRASAG. We held in all 3 meetings with the Ministry of Education, and also we held meetings with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education. In all these meetings, UTAG was called upon to suspend the strike action and return to the table to negotiate.
Well, responding to a statement by the finance minister, the government is not in a position to meet their demands, Professor Solomon Nunu said they are cautiously optimistic that their concerns will be resolved.
At this point, we are only being cautiously optimistic because to go with what government has said alone wouldn't have been enough for us. But you'll notice that we also considered the statements, or should I say the request that came in from the eminent persons, the Parliamentary Select Committee. We also considered our students who also made the appeals and the rest. So these are the things that we used as our considerations. But to say that there's something on the table at this point, as we've said, there's nothing. We are just being cautiously.
We know now that at least 200 pupils of the Zare Experimental Primary School at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region will no longer sit on the bare cold cement floors of their classrooms for lessons. This is because the Jackson College of Education has donated 100 dual desks to the school. The donation of the desk came after students of the Jackson College of Education Center on teaching practice at the primary school saw the plight of the little children and reported back to the principal of the college, who then decided to come to their aid. Correspondent Albert Sorry reports from Bolga.
Less than a month ago, pupils of the Zare Experimental Primary School here in Bolgatanga did not have furniture to sit on for lessons. They always sat on the bare classroom floors to receive instructions from their teachers and then lie down on their bellies to take down the notes in their books. Today, the children are excited because the principal of the Jackson College of Education has donated 100 dual desks to their school. The Jackson College of Education is a private college by distance learning affiliated to the University of Education, Winneba. Last year, the college sent some of its students to the Zare Experimental Primary School to do a mandatory off-campus teaching practice as part of their studies. These student teachers wrote reports to the college after their practice, in which the principal, Theodosia Jackson, was informed that the Zare Experimental Primary School had no classroom furniture. Touched by the plight of the children, she decided to help.
When they sent the report, I realized that the children were lying on their bellies and the student teachers were struggling to squat to feed them. I said, how come in this modern 21st century, in Ghana, not in a village, but at the center of Boriga? I was so sad and I decided that something must be done. So immediately, I really organized myself. I got the statistics from the headmistress and he said they were 200. So 200, I knew 100 dual desks would be sufficient for all the children. I remember when I was a child, I used to carry my own desk, table and chair to school, and my mother will accompany me to cross the street. But this time it looks as if everything is on the shoulders of the government. So people should come in to help.
Gladys Nso is headmistress of the Zare Experimental Primary School.
At first, we were not having furniture, and that way it was not easy for teaching and learning. People were always on the floor. Head teacher is always unhappy, as well as the teachers, as well as the parents. Every day, parents will come here with complaints. Their children are not neat because there was no furniture. But now that there is furniture, we are now going to be sitting on tables and chairs.
The pupils of the Zare Experimental Primary School could not hide their joy now that their days of sitting on the bare floors for lessons were over.
Thank God, Jackson Educational College are able to give us some of the furniture. It will help us in learning. In the class, we will sit and learn comfortably. We are still pleading to government, NGOs, and general public to help us to get more of the furniture.
Education stakeholders, including the chief and traditional authorities of the Zare community and the Bolgatanga Municipal Assembly, expressed their gratitude to the principal of the Jackson College of Education by presenting a citation and other gifts to her. Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Bolgatanga.
And now the National Identification Authority is pushing for an extension of SIM card registration exercise, arguing that the situation has brought unnecessary pressure on the NIA. According to the NIA, a lot of applicants are yet to acquire their cards. The administrator, Mrs. Cecilia Adwoa, asked the telcos to extend the process to the end of the year.
I said the SIM card registration, they should look at the time frame and extend it. A lot of people haven't received their cards. There are people who did double, triple, fourth registration, and the system has arrested their card. All these cards have to be released for them to, and we need to work on them at the back end. Otherwise, all these people will lose their SIM. There are Ghanaians who used to be foreigners and have now entered the database as Ghanaians. When they go, MTN refuses to accept their PIN because of the preface. If you are an Australian, it will start with AU. If you are Togolese, it starts with TJ and that kind of. All these people have not been able to register their cards.
So the extension, how many months or weeks are you
expecting? They should extend to the end of the year.
Thank you.
They should extend to the end. What is the rush for? We should extend to the end of the year so that people can register their cards properly.
Now, 2 workers at a construction site were buried alive when a wall collapsed on them at the Kukrumansia near the Ashanti region. The 2 men yet to be identified are believed to be between the ages of 27 and 39 years. There's more in this report.
The 2 deceased were among 4 employees digging a trench for the foundation of a housing project. A nearby retaining wall collapsed, trapping the 2 beneath it. The rescue operation involved the police, fire service and ambulance service. The 2 were discovered dead in the rubble. Kwabena Wiafe is a surviving worker.
It's missing in the inside. No boy soon to two one. If you know one,
I was working with the machine and suddenly the wall of the other house collapsed on the other workers. We realized at the other side of where we were digging, it was soaked with water, so we stopped. Where it collapsed, we didn't see any sign of such.
Side back on chamber in Suno in uniform suku. Okay. The one the say but this one and sign beer and shoe say bit me bukura.
2 other workers survived the accident. One of them sustained injuries and was rushed to the hospital. The police have invited the contractor on the project for questioning as the workers have been asked to suspend work. Reporting for Joy News, Obidishio Froyamanfo.
Well, and that's all we have for you this hour here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. Don't forget to log on to myjoyonline.com for all the updates. Also follow us on our social media handles. It's Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Blessed Sugam. Next.